Rahubat, peace and light. Let's go in with this 9 mentalism. Today the subject is going to be a breakdown on pheomelanin in regards to carcinogens or carcinogenic genes, right? But before I go in, I want to read from the introductions to the nature and nature in regards to some teaching that I'm seeing from some young noonieboos who are teaching the science incorrectly. They're using Chat GPT in order to get a reasoning from the expression of artificial intelligence. So let's read this and then we'll go into the presentation. Although all the brain newts are the same everywhere in all matter, what in fact causes the differences in their creations, growths, and sounds, smells, feelings, taste, and colors by sight, as in dreams and visions, are the very quality and kind of matter that they are vibrating or melting down in. When brain newts melt down, they become mind and reason. Okay? When brain newts melt down, they become mind and reason. That is thinking and creative energy. Okay? And so using AI to explain something official, something organic that is coming from the energies of organic nature, right? You may run into some issues, okay, when understanding AI intelligence. 9 science is mind to mind, right? Not mind to computer to mind. It's mind to mind. And you're only as smart as the brain newts that have melted down to create mind and reason in your brain. All right, some people, let's start right here. In the case of pheomelanin, we're going to read the introduction to 6 in the 9 ball to get a better understanding of this pathway we're going to take. So it says, of course, I'm starting in the second sentence. Of course, the Ethiopian race includes all people with genuinely kinky hair by nature. However, in this introduction, we shall introduce the Ethiopian to 6. First, note that the digit 6 is the digit 9 upside down. That is 9 reversed. And this means that 6 is the opposite of 9. It also means that the power of 6 is sex and the power of 9 is mind. And so when we're talking about eumelanin and pheomelanin, we have to say pheomelanin is a natural opposite to eumelanin based on the formula that is used to produce these 2 melanins. Since 9 and 6 are opposites, one has to represent life and the other death. Okay, we got to understand that. So in this sense, we can say one has to represent the sun and the other represents the moon. And when we think about the moon and anything associated with the moon, when you really break it down, it goes back to death. One has to represent order and the other disorder. One must represent the standard in nature and the other substandard. One must represent the sun and the other the moon, etc. Therefore, just as the sun is opposite of the moon, Ta-kind is opposite of mankind. Ta-kind is all people with genuinely kinky, meaning kingy hair by nature, and mankind is all peoples with straight hair by nature. So when we go into the Bible, we got to understand what type of people that we're talking about. Even though we know that they are dark-skinned people, are they the original people or are they mankind people? Okay, because when the Bible was compiled and put together, it was Africans here. It was a lot of people here. In the Bible, when they speak about the Garden of Eden, there was a lot of people here. Basically, what I'm saying is Afri- Africans, Ethiopians, Nubians, Fatah kind, right? The original people on the planet predate all monotheistic religions. In fact, the monotheistic religions come out of African cultivation and civilization. Comes out of the natural ways that we did things on the planet in reverence to Almighty nature. We still haven't got the Eumelanin yet. We're just giving a breakdown. Let's go into the second sentence, first paragraph. Therefore, since the prime mover in matter was nine ether, who put matter in the orders called universes, it stands to nine reason that those original living beings in the universes, let's say it again, it stands to nine reason that those original living beings in the universes would naturally represent the living universe. And those original living beings were woolly-haired Ethiopian pygmies and their descendants called Takan. How could you not resonate with this, right? We're dealing with nine facts. Hence, mankind represents the universe in death, which is evolution. Well, what's the opposite of evolution? Revolution. When we're dealing with the races on planet Earth. Just like any other living being, the universe is born, grows, matures, gets old, and declines into death, and that death is evolution. The coming of the zodiac, six ether, into power in person of original man and other death-dealing animals. Death takes the form of animal beings. Original man is the Phoenician, Indian, and Mongolian peoples, right? Mongolians are people like Chinese and Japanese. Peep. Mankind evolved from anthropoid monkeys who inhabited Indonesia on the equator. The summer season represents life and nature, and the winter season represents death. The monkey is one of the winter seed that came up as death out of the waters of Indonesia when the universe died. The winter season of the universe produced the chimpanzee monkey, and a branch of the chimpanzee evolved into the Phoenician race, an East Indian type of people who occupy the northern regions of Africa and certain portions of Asia, especially Western Asia, and are known today as Arabs. This people in time past represented the sun god for Leviathan, the zodiac, which is six ether. In time past, the chief god of the Phoenicians were called Elion and Ra, but are called Allah today, and were called Zeus by the Greeks and Jupiter by the Romans and Marduk or Anu by the Babylonians. Okay, so with that being said, what we have to understand is Eumelanin and Pheomelanin, opposites. Dark-skinned people on the planet, original people on the planet, Fatah kind, with woolly hair, and dark-skinned people on the planet with straight hair, mankind, and the ghosts or white people, the European, right, was extracted out of the Phoenician and Hindu races. Okay, white people on this planet do not have natural organic ingredients. Okay, they were extracted out of the Phoenician and the Indian race. Okay, if there is hate against us, if there's any hate against us, this is the reason right here. My people, you got to know this. Okay, look up the MC1R receptor. All right, so this is the process to go into, this is the process of Eumelanin and Pheomelanin. On the left, you have the process into Eumelanin from tyrosine, right? You have this synthesis breakdown, okay? But you see on the right, you see the difference. You have cysteine and benzothiazine, alanyl hydroxy benzothiazine and cysteine. And this is why we got to know that pheomelanin and eumelanin are opposites, right? Pheomelanin and eumelanin are opposites. Eumelanin is great melanin. And what this melanin does not do, it does not absorb UV radiation like eumelanin does. What you will also find from doing proper research is that the process for humans and skin complexion originally coded for eumelanin. Okay. So, in a sense, pheomelanin is at best explained as a mutation. Okay. There's other elements added to it for particular reasons, i.e., being outside of the sun zone. So we've seen cysteine and benzothiazine, right? Okay, that breakdown on pheomelanin causes um, a lack of being able to protect the cells from UV radiation, making pheomelanin, in a sense, a production of or producer of carcinogens. Okay, this is a list on the American Cancer Society. Um, and by seeing these carcinogens, you'll understand why pheomelanin is carcinogenic. Okay, you got ultraviolet radiation, including UVA, UVB, and UVC rays that cause cancer, right? You got solar radiation in there. Okay. There was something else that I was looking at as well. Yeah, but that is, you got to think, this is the beginning of time and the beginning of origins of humans, right? And so this has always been an issue, right? And you got to think, going back in time where the doctors weren't really on their shit, right? So let's look at the eumelanin code. Pheomelanin code. And then this is why we'll see and we'll know that we're dealing with the laws of opposites. Can I just get to the picture? All right, I just wanted to show this to show the chemical formula. So eumelanin is very important, right? Eumelanin is very important. Now, here's another issue that we're dealing with, right? What happens if you mix the two? Does that become more stable or more unstable? What do you think? Okay. So this is the breakdown on pheomelanin, and this distinct differences between us and them, between the power of woolly original hair and moon straight hair. Okay. This is where the hate is coming from. This is on a chemical level, on a spiritual level. 9 Science deals with origins and terminations. You're just not stuck in a book. Okay, you're outside dealing with nature, whereas the monotheistic religions, for you to understand God, causes you to put your head down in a book. There's nothing wrong with putting your head down into a book. Books are becoming obsolete, right? Because everybody is getting it off the computer today. But it requires you to put your head down in a book and study over history that may not be true, that may be fabricated, changed from transliteration and things of that nature. So this is a breakdown on Pheomelanin right here. Let's leave it with the 9-ball. Scientifically, the Bible is the universal book of the dead. There is no one in the Bible today who is living. Everyone in it is dead, and the beings, six ether, and ghosts, the people of the Bible we're talking about were dead. Hence, by all means, it is the book of the dead, and those who believe in it today are dead, mentally dead. Therefore, in your mental death, which is universal ignorance, it is the preacher's job to get you ready for physical death to make the dead stronger. Without a doubt, the Bible is the eulogy of the dead, and thereby those who believe in it are worshipers of the dead. Jesus is six ether, and God is ghost, the conscious gases of death. The two are opposites of the same thing. Leviathan, the zodiac. One chief symbol of the zodiac is the cross, which comes from the words crescent and crocodile. The words cross and crescent refer to the moon, and the moon is 6 power, right? And so if you're not mentally dead, then you're definitely mentally living. You can't be a religionist and be mentally living, though, because the book that you're reading and getting your godly information from, okay, and even dealing with a Holy Ghost, that's all death. So how you getting living reason? You only can get this reason by dealing with 9. And dealing with 9 is knowing yourself. Eumelanin night. And with that being said, I'm gone. Thanks for listening. If you tuned all the way in this far, like and subscribe. And until next time, y'all stay on 9 and stay great. Peace.